of the spectrum. Start with Mr. Oscar ROJAS. Oscar, the floor is yours.
Thank you, sir. Good morning. So I only have 7 minutes to answer 4 questions, and there is no possible way that I can answer them in that time allowed. So I'm only going to answer the question of how is the adaptation of artificial intelligence technology influencing the intelligence practices within Western militaries. I will answer this question based on my 32 years of military operations within the U.S. Navy Special Operations community. And out of those 32 years, I spent 20 years conducting counterterrorism operations and direct combat action globally, where I used unmanned systems, robots, and drones that have artificial intelligence and machine learning embedded in them in order to be able to do military operations much faster. So what we have now is a big data problem. The intelligence analysts in their workflow, it streamlined their process. This means that by reducing their workload, by automating routine tasks such as categorizing raw data or extracting essential metadata, it frees up analysts to focus on more complex evaluations. This can improve overall accuracy and accelerate intelligence assessments. In the end, data is just data unless it's analyzed, and once it's analyzed, it becomes intelligence. And hopefully at some point that intelligence becomes actionable intelligence. So all of this goes into what the U.S. military calls the OODA loop decision process. OODA loop is the observe, orient, decide, and act. By delivering relevant insights more rapidly, artificial intelligence computing is here today. Everything that we have secured today through encryption will quickly become vulnerable because quantum computing can process and decipher those encrypted encrypted data. Additionally, there's also ethical and legal considerations that need to be taken into consideration. Western governments and militaries are grappling with the question on how artificial intelligence-driven systems fit within an existing legal frameworks, especially when lethal targeting and autonomous operations may be involved. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Oscar. Right on time. You were speaking about accurate pictures and AI, and that's a problem. In preparing this panel, I made some pictures of myself in the Star Trek movie, but I decided not to show them, so they were not accurate at all. Not only the fact that I never was in that series, but also I didn't look like myself. Still some work to do, and there are ethical questions, and we might get back to that. Second one in our row. Air Vice-Marshal Mike Hart, could I please ask you to take the floor?
Okay, thanks very much, and I'm currently representing Oracle. So I'm going to actually try and do all 4 questions in 7 minutes. And the first one was about whether AI would shape or replace our strategic thinking and how. So I'm in the shape camp here because I think some things are immutable, like geography, like the location of critical minerals, and so on. And also, strategic cultures differ. So, UK strategic culture is very different to French strategic culture, let alone Indian or Chinese strategic culture. And the way I would look at it is it's a technology that influences strategy in the way that previous technologies have. So, the Anglo-German naval race before 1914 is driven by the competition between the 2 powers, but in turn, that drives British policy to get hold of coal and oil to fuel the Royal Navy. So that's the way I tend to see it. Having said that, I think that any kind of strategic thinking that doesn't accept the reality of AI and policy implications, particularly when we start talking about an AI-based lethal kill web. And there is something about, it will be a good time, I think, to have the policy discussion now, rather than waiting for 3 weeks into the war when we've lost half our forces or whatever. The third question was the intelligence question. And my instinct here is, how is the adoption of AI affecting intelligence practices among Western militaries? Now, my instinct is to say, arguably not enough. So I think the key advantage it offers, apart from the ability to crunch a lot of data, and I think I'd finish by saying that the military impact isn't just about who's got the AI. The military impact, and the key question, I think, particularly in the Pacific, is whether the US retains sufficient technological lead, including AI, to outmatch Chinese numerical overmatch. That's me done, thanks.
Thank you very much. You mentioned AI-based lethality. A story from the Second World War where we didn't have AI yet, and also maybe not a lot of intelligence at sometimes. The Russians, they trained dogs, Pavlov trained dogs, to run under German tanks with mines attached to their backs, blowing up these tanks. They made one mistake. They trained the dogs with Russian tanks. So when they first put it on the battlefield, the dogs on the battlefield, they didn't run in the direction.
Thank you. Since I'm from the Ministry of Internal Affairs, I'm going to give you a perspective from a defender of internal security and with regards to emergency response, public order, and civil protection. So when we think about AI in the Ministry of Internal Affairs, we see high connectivity. High connectivity means force multiplier of all the threats that the Ministry of Internal Affairs has to deal with. Don't forget that the public trust is always at stake, since all the bodies of the ministry are facing every day the threats and the requirements of our population is no longer low, since they expect better risk threats or to detect and counter large-scale influential operation that, let's say, affects the mission of our bodies in the ministry. And when turning to the strand of cybersecurity, the threats are more and more sophisticated, because the AI-driven cyber attacks are learning how to defend themselves and to avoid security measures, and that's why we do have to have the right tools and let the AI, the good AI, to fight the bad AI. One more point that I want to touch upon is that of accuracy. Of course, we now are using a lot of digital platforms that collect and analyze in a real time open source data, so we can make a better picture of our threats landscape looks like. And the main challenges that I consider is to have our own large language model that can that should be trained within the Ministry of Internal Affairs, so it can really become a co-assistant for all strands of work, even if we talk about strategic or operational level. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Marius. And you raised a couple of interesting questions. The legal, ethical aspects of AI, is the management involved enough? And can we differ between good AI and bad AI? If I hear something like that, I think about good AI wearing a white hat and a bad AI wearing a black one. But as we all understand, it doesn't work that way. So maybe we could go into that a little bit more during the discussion. Next, Andriy, welcome back from Ukraine. And please share your thoughts with us.
Not sure if my, okay, microphone's working. Hello, my name is Andriy SIRKO. I am from Ukraine, and my mission is to give you some view of how AI is developing and might be used on Ukrainian frontline. The first remark is, when we started the war, everyone who was on the front line knew that he fights with whatever he has, where he is, and he should not expect any support, any coordination, any food or water or anything for weeks, months, and it's a horrible position to be in, truly. But we learned the lesson that simple autonomous systems survive. Complex, expensive, integrated, they have much less survival sort of capacity. The other thing is that today we are looking at millions of drones, not tens, not when we ask our Western European partners send us the medium-range missiles, they say, was one of the joking answers, do you want one or both that we have? And we are dealing with virtually, tens of thousands of drones every day on the front line. Now, you have a picture that I brought with me. I brought three presentations, one picture just as a hint and two presentations of companies where I'm trying to show how the AI is merging and what is it on the front line. So this is a drone that I personally helped to launch a production 5 days ago. It's a new generation. It's not going to change the war, but it will contribute. And with these things, the production of anything, including AI, starts. So the next one, please. So the one thing that Ukrainians have learned is that you are working in a GPS-denied environment.
and infrastructure targets. So if they're not aiming at them, that tells us their weapons are so bad that they're just going everywhere and they don't know what they're going to hit. But the fact of the matter is our enemy will not be constrained by collateral damage allowable or expected, and that worries me about AI because I think they will turn it loose on us. I want to close out very quickly then with 3 things that I think AI is really going to help us with in the future. The first one is a concept many of you have heard, and that is computing at the edge. Computing out there on the far end of what's happening. Our modern stealth platforms are immense collectors. They grab up data as they're on the battlefield in terabytes. And if we have to send all of that across the communications channels to the ground, we are going to be horribly congested in our pipes in the air on how we transmit data. The beauty of an AI is that you can do triage at the edge, on the aircraft, or on the ship, or on the land.
Particularly in the context of maybe attacking somebody's CNI or critical national infrastructure when you really ought not to, at a time you really ought not to. So it's almost a schizophrenic split between automation and very tight human control. And we're not there yet. I'm with General Breedlove on the point that our opponents will not fight like that, as Ukraine has learned to its cost. So there's something, therefore, about making sure that we are ready to fight at machine speed when we have to, because if we don't, putting it crudely, we'll lose. So there's something about having that discussion now, talking to about the policy now, start to think about training our commanders, our politicians who will have to delegate the authorities, our military and political lawyers, to put them in a position where they're, if not comfortable with it, at least understanding that this is the world that they're going to have to get into, and that the kind of ministerial target boards that Michael Fallon, who was on this panel yesterday, would hold for every individual target in Afghanistan is just not going to be feasible. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. I think it was Marius who mentioned that the management should be more involved in these kind of AI discussions. Phil, do you believe that the military leadership is already enough involved in this discussion?
So probably not the answer you're searching for, but I think they are. Because what we're trying to work through is this labyrinth of ethics and decision-making, collateral damage in order to enable commanders. We should not be limiting commanders, we should be enabling commanders. And I think, again, at the tactical level, exactly as was said, we've got to give them authority forward by setting what we call rules of engagement. And another term you probably haven't heard very often, SPINs. That's our short for special instructions. These things need to be created before an engagement, especially at the tactical level, because you have to have the ability to make those decisions at speed and employ. At the operational and strategic level, we're going to probably, as I said, always have people in the loop at least to say no. We can train a drone right now to go deeply into China and find a missile site, and their eyes and capability to see in multispectral radar and all of those things, they're way better than having a pilot